50 years of the Fundraising School. Hi, I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz. This is the first day from the Fundraising School, and I'm joined by Dr. Amir Pasic, Dean of the Indiana University Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, which is home to the Fundraising School. And Amir, great to have you back with us on the Fundraising Schools podcast.
It's my privilege to be with you, Dr. Stanczykiewicz.
And Dr. Pasic, same back at you. And you have been leading the school for more than a decade now. What are your thoughts, your observations as the Fundraising School celebrates its 50th anniversary?
It's such a gratifying milestone that you commemorate 50 years. Think about the other occasions where we have the privilege or have the opportunity to commemorate something that has lasted for so long and added value and added meaning for so long. It really is a moment to pause and to celebrate in a meaningful way all that has been achieved and all of what that represents in terms of the talent that we have been able to support and propel in the field.
We've worked in more than 40 countries around the world. We know that our alumni tell us they raise more money because of the Fundraising School. You have traveled nationally. You have international expertise. What have you seen in the growth of the fundraising profession over these last many years that the Fundraising School has been walking alongside?
I think it's a wonderful testament to the opening of so many societies to the potential for greater civic engagement and civic energy. Because I think when fundraising grows, the openness in civil society grows, and the possibilities for innovation, the possibilities for helping each other out, the possibilities for expanding opportunity in society are all enhanced. So it's wonderful to see that space opening up in so many societies, but also the growth of the profession, the pride, the sophistication, the self-reflection of the people who have chosen this as their calling and their profession.
Now, Amir, I know you believe strongly in how there can be this wonderful intersection between the academy, higher education, alongside ongoing professional development and executive education. And in fact, the Fundraising School's founder, Henry Rosso, had that philosophy. That's why in 1988, he donated the Fundraising School to the Indiana University, then Center on Philanthropy, now Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, so that there would always be that research base behind the curriculum. Can you please share for our audience your thoughts, your ideas on how it's uniquely important for executive education to be embedded within a Research One university?
Well, I think we are very fortunate that we have our professional development enterprise, the Fundraising School, in the same school where we have academic programs and the research that helps define the facts and the trends of our field, and then the academic programs that ask the questions that are motivated by curiosity about both in terms of how things are working now and how they might work differently in the future, and ask us hard questions about whether we're actually doing the right things and how might we do things differently. Indeed, when you think about worthwhile professional development, it is an extension of and an accompaniment to the education that we think of happening within institutions that takes longer periods of time, asks you to exit life circumstances. And we know so many of these things are changing, but professional development, I think, to be at the core of the identity of a discipline really has to be involved in the process of discovery and testing the value of its knowledge against scholarly critique and against whether it's actually working in the field. So both of those things have to come together. You have to be discovering at the frontiers of curiosity and also testing whether this is making difference in practice. And combining that research and practice is really what generates useful knowledge that we can deploy and make a difference in the world. So, when you have freestanding professional development organizations, they're always looking for ways to connect to scholarship and university connections. And, we are so fortunate that we put that under one roof. And I think that allows us to do things in a more synergistic way, to collaborate more immediately, and to be aware of what's happening across both the areas of discovery and practice, so that we are one kind of integrated operation, so we don't have to kind of form separate partnerships and keep gauging what's happening over there within the academic walls and what's happening over there in practice. I think we have really hit on something in terms of putting those two things together. Our faculty are committed to it as well. In many universities, faculty at the core of the enterprise see executive education or professional development as something that happens over there in that special endeavor, the special enterprise. It's like an extension area. I think we have really tried to integrate both of those practice and discovery functions that are really, I think, increasingly being called for in the world of practice as knowledge becomes such an important and changing piece of the way we do our work.
And to amplify Dean Pasic's response, under his leadership, our faculty has grown considerably, nearly 24 faculty positions now, plus an entirely separate research team. And it's the work of those faculty, the work of those researchers that informs our curriculum at the Fundraising School. It's not just instructors standing in front of the room telling their stories. There is a depth and a texture to our curriculum, thanks to the fine research that happens at the Indiana University Lilly Family School Philanthropy. Amir, if I could go back, you were talking about fundraising growing, not just in the United States, but around the world. When we came out with the most recent edition of Achieving Excellence in Fundraising, the 5th edition, kind of the signature textbook from the Fundraising School, we made an important revision to Henry Rosso's inaugural essay, our founder, Henry Rosso, where he talked about fundraising being distinctly American. We didn't feel comfortable with that phrase anymore. Certainly not to denigrate the United States, all sorts of wonderful fundraising happening here. But could you please talk a little bit more about how you've seen professional fundraising growing around the world and some of the tools that our school has, like the Global Philanthropy Index and other ways, to really demonstrate how fundraising is an international activity?
Yeah, so I think that's a really interesting historical development that we're no longer as comfortable or as we can't justifiably say it's purely American, even kind of on the facts of the matter. I think it was always a case that fundraising in different ways has been part of a variety of cultures for time immemorial. Perhaps the United States took a lead in professionalizing it as a field, but then it's catching up quickly everywhere else, I think, in terms of the professionalization of the field. And we know that philanthropy and generosity is a universal part of the human condition, and people have been asking each other to come alongside them in all kinds of ventures, both private and public, and in between. So it's really a wonderful moment, because as the diversity of context within which we have philanthropy and fundraising becoming more aware of each other, there's just so many more opportunities to learn and to innovate and to think about how different cultures and different traditions are using the basic principles of relationship development undergirded by an ethic of public service and selflessness, how that's going to help contribute to our society. So as you know, as an immigrant who came to the United States thinking that of a generation where so many firsts were so well and deeply developed in the United States, when you think about music and the film industry, now you see kind of the commercialization of those enterprises blossoming in every country you can think of. And I think something similar is happening to fundraising. There were always cultural expressions everywhere, but the ability to do it at the kind of the scale and the energy of a kind of a Hollywood system, you're seeing something similar, I think, happening with fundraising, and it's just such a joyous part to be helping to nurture that by giving folks the professional development and the underlying research to help understand it.
Amir, thanks for helping us celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Fundraising Schools. We're doing these conversations with experts and leaders. We're also asking them to conclude by trying to look ahead, the next 50 years. You have an international background, a political science background, let alone considerable expertise in philanthropy and fundraising. We have all these technological developments. When Hank started the school, the images on the screen were put up with mimeographs one at a time, laid on the machine. And now we have AI and fundraising. You've written profoundly about what we see happening in our societies with, a huge polarization and disagreement that we can see in our communities. And can philanthropy still be, a force to bring people together? What advice do you have for fundraisers now moving ahead as we look ahead to the next 50 years?
Well, it's this is a wonderful opportunity, and thanks to you and your wonderful colleagues who have nurtured the fundraising school so well to become a leader in this field, and a home to so many professionals who are curious about what they can do better and where their field is going. I don't have a specific crystal ball, but I do think that there are a variety of pathways that we can take, and I think the notion of pathways that are open is the one that I like to conclude on, is that we often look at trends as something that is happening to us and something that we have to accommodate to. But there's a lot of choice and opportunity to express oneself, both in philanthropy and in fundraising, in terms of the causes that we choose to devote our careers to, and the relationships that we on a daily basis decide to invest our intellectual, emotional, and our civic energy into. So I think as we study both the positive and the more foreboding possibilities of the future, the thing to remember is that we have our choices to make, and I think one of the most important things for us to try to do collectively is to try to maintain the ability for each one of us to have that freedom to make those choices for ourselves. And as we see both the politics and the technology kind of grinding into and imposing and opening opportunities at the same time, I think just maintaining that choice and both the challenge and the privilege of having that choice is something that we should celebrate and continue to consider as something that we want to exercise and preserve going forward.
Wise counsel, Amir. Thank you so much. And Dean Pasic's answer, by the way, shows how not only do the academic faculty and our research team inform the work of the fundraising school, the fundraising school often is a front door for our academic programs. And one of those pathways that you can choose as a leader is our graduate degree programs. These have grown under Dean Pasic's leadership, where our master's degree, for example, now available entirely online in an asynchronous format. As long as you hit those deadlines set by the professor, you're doing the work on your timeline. We have the traditional Ph.D., and also under Dean Pasic's leadership, we've started a new professional doctoral degree where you're still working your full-time job, but you're taking these asynchronous courses, and your dissertation, so to speak, is an applied research project where you identify a problem or an opportunity at your workplace in your subsector throughout the nonprofit sector, if you will, in the US or around the world, and you propose solutions using academic research methods. These are the academic opportunities available at our school, the Indiana University Lilly Family School Philanthropy, which is also home to the fundraising school. 24 courses, 4 certificates, custom training, quarterly webinars, these weekly podcasts, and I mentioned the textbook, Achieving Excellence in Fundraising. The website, easy to remember, go.iu.edu. Throw on a / and TFRS for the fundraising school, go.iu.edu. You'll learn about our academic programs. Throw on that / TFRS for the fundraising school. Amir, great to have you back with us on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And our producers today are Jennifer Boffman and Mike Anthony. I'm Bill Stanczykiewicz, and now you are now more fully informed on this first day from the Fundraising School.